He's a Republican with a reputation for working across the aisle. He's also on the all-important Appropriations Committee. Senator Mike Rounds of South Dakota joins me now. Senator, great to see you. Where do negotiations stand right now, as far as you can tell, between Republicans and Democrats tonight?
I think we're still at the point of trying to convince our Democratic colleagues that the first thing that has to happen is that the shutdown has to be shut down, and that we've got to get back to doing the work that the Senate had been doing and doing successfully this year. Senator Leader John Thune has made it clear that he wants regular order and that we would do the appropriations bill. We got 3 of them out already. They've been in conference with the House. We've got 3 more ready to come to the floor of the Senate. But we can't do that under a government shutdown. We've got to get the shutdown out of the way. So what we've asked them to do is, look, if you want to move forward on this stuff, the first thing that we do is open government back up. Once we get that done, there's a lot of us that want to work really hard to get the rest of the appropriations completed. That's good for Republicans and it's good for Democrats.
So as I said, you're a Republican with a reputation of working across the aisle, and you were kind of engaged in some of the informal bipartisan talks on the Senate floor last night. Democratic Senator Chris Coons was as well. I did speak to him last night, and this is what he told me about a potential path that he sees. Listen.
There is agreement that we should be willing to negotiate an extension of the Affordable Care Act subsidies and a reform to them. Republicans want to reform them. Democrats want to extend them. And they're insisting, as of now, that we all vote to reopen the government, and then we'll start negotiating. I'm encouraging them to be serious and concrete about who will negotiate, how, over what, and with what deadline.
You feel like that's opening the door a little bit? What about giving some specifics here to Democrats so they have some promises about what happens next?
Chris is not only a colleague, he's a good friend. And I think part of what he said there would be no disagreement on, in that, number one, we're going to have to stop the shutdown. But second of all, there are a number of us on both sides of the aisle that really do want to do all of the appropriation bills and to do them in a timely fashion. And in doing so, in the Senate, in traditional fashion, that means that you have lots of amendment and lots of different ways to address different issues. We have never ruled out trying to work out the differences and put modifications and corrections in place into what is the Affordable Care Act and the subsidies on it. But we will not debate that. We will not discuss that when you're holding government funding hostage. And so our message has been, you're going to run out of time between now and the time that those subsidies have to be clearly identified for the states. And so rather than wasting time keeping government shut down, which nobody should want to do, let's get government open, and then let's enter that very sincere discussion of getting all of the appropriation bills out in a timely fashion. And with that comes the ability to modify, amend, and discuss lots of different issues, including the ACA.
Let me quickly ask you about what seems to be happening inside the White House Budget Office, which is the government canceling billions or suspending in infrastructure and green energy projects, specifically for blue states. Is there any way other to read this as punitive?
I think what you're finding out is that when you don't do the appropriations process and we're operating under a continuing resolution that started in the Biden administration, it is very broadly written. And if we really want to stop that, if Democrats want to stop it, take the appropriations process, look at what we're actually putting into the law, which is pretty clear, and puts limitations on what the executive branch can do and where they can spend the money. The sooner we get that done, the better off we are in terms of the Congress having a say in it again.
Do you like the president doing this?
Look, it's his authority to be able to do so. He has that authority. And so it's not a matter of whether or not I like it. It's a matter of he has that authority and he has the right to exercise it. And he's going to exercise it. If Democrats don't like that, let's not continue with this shutdown. The sooner that shutdown gets eliminated, as soon as Senator Schumer decides he doesn't want the shutdown anymore, or a group of about 10 of them decide that they'll bypass the shutdown, we can get back to work again in a bipartisan fashion, do the appropriations process. And remember, in the Senate, it takes Republicans and Democrats alike to agree on those bills. There's lots of opportunities for modifications in order to find those areas where we have consensus. We want to get that done. We do not want the shutdown. I've shared with my Democrat colleagues, look, this is not working in your favor. This is not going to help you get the things that you want to get accomplished to have them happen. Let's get past it. Let's get the shutdown out of the way. Let's go back to work again.
Senator Mike Rounds, appreciate your time tonight.